Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us in the virtual space. It is 4 o'clock. We are waiting for some more of our HAAB members to join us in the virtual space, and we will get started momentarily.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody.
Hello there. Good afternoon, Megan. We're just giving a few of our HAAB members a moment to join the space. Got the awkward silence, Megan. Folks are coming into the space. Thank you for joining us.
We should have some like music going as we wait for the meetings to start.
I like that idea. I like that idea. Set the atmosphere.
Great.
What about some Erica Warren recordings? I mean, that's what I'm looking for.
I think we'd be better off if we had rapping from Vanilla Ice. Where's Mike when you need him?
Strawberry ice.
Strawberry Ice, yes. I love it. They're like Batman and Robin. They're sidekicks. Welcome into this space, everyone. We are just giving a few of our HAAB members a moment to get out of their 3 o'clocks and into our 4 o'clock. Received a few texts of folks running a bit behind, so give them a little grace and we will get started shortly. Good afternoon, Mr. Washington. Got just a few text messages of folks joining us. Just a little late, so I'm going to give folks just a couple more minutes. Natalie, I believe we have started the live stream, but feel free to put up slides. We're ready. We'll get started here in just a moment. Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this a little overcast, but fairly sunny day in Portland, Oregon, June 11th for the Historic Albina Advisory Board meeting for the I-5 Rose Quarter. We have some exciting work to do today. I've received just a couple of texts of folks who are running just a moment behind. So usually we try to get started about 4:05. If you all give me just one more minute to get those folks in the meeting, we will get started shortly. Thank you so much for your patience. We have a couple more HAAB members that are coming into this space right now. For the sake of time, thank you to all who are joining us via the live stream as well. I'm Erica Warren. I serve as the facilitator for the Historic Albina Advisory Board. And we are excited to welcome you into this space. It's the beginning of summer and graduations. So thank you for making time to be with us this afternoon for this important conversation. If you will head to the next slide, we're going to start diving in as HAAB members are joining us into the virtual meeting space. Please make sure, for those of you all who are not having a speaking role, if you'd mute yourself when you're not speaking, there is a number there if you're having some difficulties. Technology is awesome. I heard this from someone when it works. So leverage the use of that number there if you have difficulties. Next slide, please. I want to just remind you, just in case, the meeting chat is a part of the public record and will be included in the meeting summary. So I want to remind you of that as well. Today's agenda, we will have public comment as we do as a practice. I will give you an overview of some of our content. We will have an update from our project director. And then we will dive into some ideas and exciting information around the Reconnecting Albina Planning Project and all of the important and valuable reinvestment efforts that are taking place in our city in this corridor in response to restorative efforts. And then we will dive back into a section with our colleagues from Echo Northwest around economic feasibility and what that looks like for covered development. These are just our beginning and initial conversations, but some exciting conversations nevertheless. And then we will adjourn our meeting and talk about our next steps as we move into the summer months. Next slide, please. You all are familiar with these. Your voice matters, so I will be calling on you. We will be breaking into some rooms, which often give us an opportunity to dive a little deeper into the conversation. So make sure that you are availing yourself to that time. I don't have to remind you all to be authentic and genuine. This is a passionate project and work for us that are connected to the community here. We appreciate you listening, for understanding, dealing with the issues and not with people. As you all are very familiar, we have experienced a lot of discomfort, but I am so excited to be in the place that we are and the collaboration that is happening around this project moving forward. We ask, if you can, to keep your cameras on when we're engaged in the conversation. Those who cannot, we understand, but we trust that you will remain respectfully engaged into the process and the work. And we cannot solve or finish everything today, but we will do our best to answer those things that have been left lingering and continue to move the project forward with each conversation that we have together. Next slide, please. With that, I am going to open up our time for public comment. We encourage public comments and want for those in our community to be involved in the public process. We want you to make sure that you are staying in line with our agenda topics for this particular meeting. You are invited now. I'm going to ask my colleague who's assisting me with public comment if she would avail herself at this time, and we'll move forward.
Thanks, Erica. Members of the public viewing the meeting on the live stream are invited to make public comment at this time. You can do so by dialing the phone number shown on the slide and entering the meeting ID and passcode. The phone number to call is 971-247-1195. The meeting ID is 874-4302-1143, and the passcode is 508847. Once you dial those numbers, you'll be placed in a virtual waiting room until your time to speak. And when the time comes, we'll invite you to unmute yourself and ask that you mute your speakers if you're listening on the live stream during that time. Speakers have 2 minutes to make their comment and will be muted at time. And there are a few ways to provide more extensive comments to HAAB members. Please see the options listed on the meeting agenda. And with that, I'm looking to see if we have any public comment in our queue, and I'm not seeing anyone at this time. As a reminder, we did receive one written public comment in advance of today's meeting that was shared with HAAB members. And I'm still not seeing any live public commenters at this time. So I will pass it back to you, Erica.
No worries. I'll give folks just maybe one more minute till 4:15, and then we'll proceed on with our meeting. Thank you to the rest of our HAAB members who are joining in this space. I wanted to just make sure this is an important part of our public process, that we give an opportunity for anyone who might have dialed in late. We're just going to give until 4:15. It's about a few more moments, and we'll move forward in our meeting. Thank you so much, Natalie. You can advance to the next slide, please. Awesome. Thank you so much. While we are here, I want to give just a little bit of context around how we're going to proceed today. Last Tuesday, we sent out to HAAB members a set of question responses to some of the issues that were raised in our April and May meetings. We hope that as we are working to be more diligent to get information out to you ahead of time, we hope that those responses are helpful for you. They are also posted on the project website. Before we launch into our full meeting, just want to give a high-level overview of how our context today fits into the broader work, shaping the reinvestment and the future of Albina, specifically the Rose Quarter project and the piece of that work that we are embarking upon together. One of the questions that many of you have raised is regards how the project and the highway cover can result in wealth generation for the Black community. And during the economic feasibility portion of today's meeting, Cadence and the team at Echo Northwest will help us discuss different avenues for wealth generation that exist throughout the project life cycle. Echo's work will help us kind of lay the foundation and groundwork to gain understanding into wealth generation opportunities during the cover development. We're going to hopefully dive into the discussion around direction and how we would like for the Echo Northwest team to pursue research over the summer, which will help us with cover development scenarios, et cetera, and how the Black community would be able to benefit from these really important investments. We're also going to hear from the City of Portland about other projects in the Albina region and how they relate to the highway cover. It's going to be helpful for this group to have context in relationship to all of the other reinvestment opportunities that are happening within the Albina corridor as we begin to focus in on the primary goal of our work, which is the Rose Quarter cover, right? And so there are so many other opportunities happening, reinvestment opportunities, projects that are happening in the corridor. We want to make sure that we are working collaboratively and that we have more insight as we make our decisions regarding cover development and uses. We will continue to try to highlight how all of these projects work together, how the HAAB engages with all of these projects, and how the topics relate during our meetings. And so there's kind of overarching, we're focusing in on the cover, but we want to make sure that you know that we want to keep you connected to all of those projects. It will be important for us as we zero in on particulars around cover development and interim use, et cetera, for the Rose Quarter project. Next slide, please. With that, I am going to turn it over to our project director, Ms. Megan Channel.
Thanks, Erica, and good afternoon, HAAB members. I have a quick update for you today on a couple things kind of related to grants and funding. But first wanted to just acknowledge the work of the full project team, as well as the Historic Albina Advisory Board. Because through your efforts, we were the recipient of one of the Federal Highway Administration's Environmental Excellence Awards that was awarded in Virginia Beach at the AASHTO, which is the American Association of State Highway Transportation Officials. I think I got that right, at their environmental and sustainability conference last week. And so I had the honor and privilege of representing the team and this team, including our Historic Albina Advisory Board, in accepting that award. So just want to take a moment of celebration and congratulations of this full team. The award was really focused in on the community engagement and our process for really adjusting the project design and specifically the highway cover to better meet the community vision. So appreciate all of you for being part of that process and helping us get there. And there's more information coming out from Federal Highway Administration on our award there, as well as the other 13 awardees in this 2-year cycle award. So anyway, congratulations, and again, honored to be the one accepting that award last week. Also want to acknowledge that the infra grant, which is the kind of second major grant application that we've put in, is still in with USDOT. The latest news I have on that is that we expect to hear back from USDOT sometime late August or early September. So keep sending all of your good energy to Washington, D.C. In hopes for some additional funding for the project. And again, that grant application is focused on completing the highway cover as the top priority, and then also on working on some of the safety and operational improvements on I-5. So we'll keep you posted as soon as we know the outcome of that grant award. I also wanted to return, kind of based on a commitment from our last HAAB meeting, make sure that I'm keeping you up to date on the grant agreement that we're putting together as it relates to the funding we do have in place with the Reconnecting Community Grant. So we are working with FHWA on that grant agreement. And what that does is it outlines the funds for the grant. And again, in line with the grant application, the funding that we're putting forward for that grant agreement is consistent with what was submitted in the grant application. So it would be to focus on construction of the first phase of the highway cover. So that first central part of the highway cover, and then the associated design and right-of-way that's needed to support that construction of the highway cover. So that would serve really as the first phase of project construction. And then should we be successful with the infra grants, that would be the additional funding to complete the highway cover, as well as the other improvements as part of the project. So we will be working on the grant agreement between now and early fall. And one of the steps in the grant agreement process for Reconnecting Communities is we have to make sure that the funds are programmed in the respective transportation improvement programs, both at the regional level, so with Metro, as well as at the state level with the Transportation Commission. So in July, there will be a series of meetings with Metro to program those grant funds. And the first would be with Metro's TPAC, followed by JPACT, which is made up of elected and agency leaders for their approval for that grant funding programming into the TIP, and then followed by Metro Council. So that process will be happening in July and August. And then we will be in front of our Oregon Transportation Commission in August as well. I'll commit to sending a follow-up email with those specific dates, but it'll be an opportunity to engage with those committees as well, should you be interested. So more information to come as a follow-up there. So that's really it by way of project updates. I also want to just acknowledge that this is, we're going to take a break after this meeting, and then we'll be reconvening in the fall. It's twofold, that it's summer and scheduling becomes quite challenging with people taking time off. So I hope that you get out there and get some sunshine and some good breaks. And secondly, our team needs some time to do some work. Y'all have provided us some really great feedback, and we need some time to incorporate that and make sure that we're coming back to you in the fall with more to engage upon. So anyway, I will pause there, and Erica, see if there's any questions from you or HAAB members.
I'll open the floor if there are any questions regarding the updates that Megan just provided. Again, congratulations on the FHWA award to this project team as we move forward. I'll give just one more opportunity if there's questions from HAAB members. Thank you, Sprint. I see your comment there. Hearing none, thank you, Megan. We appreciate you. I don't see any additional questions or comments. With that, we'll move forward into our agenda. Thanks again. I'm going to invite our colleagues from the city, Rachel Hoy and Mike Saratella, to present on the Reconnecting Albina Planning Project and other Reconnecting Communities grant opportunities and projects that are happening in the Lower Albina area. Rachel, Mike.
Thank you very much, Erica. Good evening, everyone. Rachel Hoy with the Bureau of Planning and Sustainability. And I'm going to get us started, and then I will have an opportunity here for Mike to join in. So today we are, next slide, please. Today we're going to give you an update on 2 Reconnecting Communities grant-funded projects. So one is the planning grant that we have spoken with you a little bit about in the past. And so this will be a bit more of an update on that project and some of the project components. And the other project is the capital construction project for Broadway Main Street, which Mike will be talking with you about in just a moment here. And we're planning to come back to the HAAB with updates and seek feedback on both of these projects throughout the processes. So you'll hear more about those opportunities. We have a couple of slides that talk about some of that time frame. Next slide, please. So to get us started, I think this image will look familiar. I believe it was part of a handout that you received a few days ago. So before talking about the Reconnecting Albina Planning Project, I wanted to share this context slide just to show a number of different things that are going on in the area and the importance of the highway cover and I-5 project as it relates to the broader district. So there's a lot of work, and this just is part of it. There are many more things going on, many more projects and developments that are happening in the area. So this is just a set that I wanted to share with you because there's a lot going on, and our coordination is critical as we move forward. So just to orient us a little bit, the yellow here is the I-5 Rose Corridor project with the highway cover. The red is the project area, which is for the Reconnecting Albina Planning Project, which is the effort that is the city team, which I'll talk more about, between transportation, Bureau of Planning and Sustainability, Prosper Portland, and Albina Vision Trust. And I'll go into that a bit more in just a moment. In green, we've highlighted here the city spectator facilities, where we know there are ongoing operating and lease agreements, as well as future development opportunities. In purple, we have the Matthew Prophet Educational Center site, and that is a catalyst site for redevelopment in Albina Vision Trust's community investment plan. And then highlighted in kind of a light blue gray along the waterfront, I wanted to let you all know about a consultant study that is underway that is taking a look at the opportunities and challenges for future waterfront redevelopment opportunities and waterfront activation. Next slide, please. So you've heard previously a little bit about the Reconnecting Albina Planning Project, which is being supported by FHWA funding. And I wanted to provide a little bit more detail on this collaborative effort. And as I mentioned, the project partners between PBOT, BPS, Prosper, and Albina Vision Trust, we are all partners working on this effort together. A little bit more about the timeline. It's an 18-month project. So between this summer through June of 2026, and I have a more extensive timeline I'll show you in just a moment. We are anticipating at this point being at City Council to accept the grant funds probably in late July. You did receive a communications that we would be before Council on June 26th. So that date has changed. We don't have the new date set yet, but we will let the HAAB know as soon as we have that date and share it. As you see in the graphic here, this project includes the highway cover. So the project area includes the highway cover, and part of what we're doing with this effort is to look at how we can integrate the new cover into the broader district. And this will develop through the project. We'll be developing long-term implementation strategies for new development and investment strategies in the Lower Albina area that focus on restorative justice efforts for the Black community. This effort will build upon existing policy and land use and transportation direction that we have. So we're not starting from scratch. We'll be building upon the I-5 Rose Quarter work that's underway, the independent cover assessment, the Albina Visions Community Investment Plan. When we look at all of these efforts together, we'll want to look at where there's alignment, where there's misalignment, where we are missing information, identify any updates that are needed to support the important work that's underway in this district, and remove barriers to meeting the community's priorities. As you can see on the slide, I won't read these, but the deliverables of the grant and our partners, we're all connected to all of these pieces, but we do identify some different leads, different bureaus that will be taking the lead, and in some cases jointly, but there'll be a community engagement plan that you'll hear more about in a moment. As well as these other elements of that we will produce as part of the grant deliverables. Next slide, please. So I wanted to just share a little bit about what this grant what it is and what it is not. And this is not extensive, but it helped me think a little bit more, and hopefully it's helpful for you to think about what this planning grant, what it is, and just some of the things that will be part of other future work. So first, this project will have a robust engagement strategy. We will be coming back to the HAAB on a regular basis for input and feedback on the work. And we will also be engaging the broader community through these engagement efforts. This project, what it is not, it doesn't supersede the HAAB's role as the primary community advisory body for ODOT on the I-5 Rose Quarter project. And as part of that work, you're providing input on the form of development on the highway cover and the surplus properties. Input provided by the HAAB regarding the highway cover is foundational information that we will build upon as part of the Reconnecting Albina Planning Project. This project is, it's a land use and transportation planning project. It's going to help us set the rules and policies to remove barriers for future development and redevelopment in the district. It'll help update the transportation system by improving mobility and connectivity in the district. It's not going to provide us a detailed site plan where we assign uses throughout the district. We will work on concepts, and we'll work with you on scenarios through some of the future engagement. And that work will help us inform the creation of new policy and any new regulations and guidelines. And that'll help us determine if there is any zoning, for example, that we may need to change to remove barriers for future redevelopment opportunities. This project will also look at developing strategies for community governance, ownership, and financing to help the community realize priorities and vision for this area. It is not a project that is going to actually create the development contracts or agreements. It's not going to create the actual building permits for future development. but this lays the foundation. It's the pathway to get us there. So I like to think of it as it's kind of helping to set that table, so that it's removing those barriers so that we can move forward with the future redevelopment opportunities and efforts. Next slide, please. So this is a draft timeline for the project, showing some of the key project phases and opportunities for HAAB engagement. The highlights in red are the touch points that we're envisioning right now along the way. You can support and inform the project. And you'll see here, we need your input more than just on the scenario development and governance work for the covers. It's much broader than that. And in fact, it's for the broader district. It's for urban design and the rest of the planning work, and how the highway cover will integrate with the rest of the district. So as I mentioned on a previous slide, the HAAB, again, remains the primary community advisory body on the form of development of the highway cover and the surplus properties. But as input is collected through this expanded engagement process that I talked about for this project, the project team envisions circling back to the HAAB on a regular basis to share updates, information we've gathered through other activities that may be going on in the district, and gather your feedback and input on that information. So just a quick scan of this timeline, you'll see, for example, late summer, early fall, we'll be working to finalize our project work plan with our project partners. And two of the first things that are on the list for us to be working on are the community participation plan. And then we'll be looking at compiling all those various planning efforts that I mentioned, are the foundation. We're not recreating the wheel here. So compiling all of that, looking for those alignments and misalignments, what's missing. So in October, we'd be looking to bring that back to you and show you that basic information to allow you to process that with us and get feedback accordingly on these project elements. And then in early 2025 through spring, there are a number of other tasks that you can see here that the project team will be working on and bringing to you and the broader community. And as soon as we know the dates for those future HAAB meetings in 2025, we'll be adding those to the work plan. Next slide, please. So this is just a little bit next steps beyond this goes into beyond the end of the grant, but I wanted to make sure that you all are aware that this project will continue through a city legislative process, because we're pretty sure we're going to have updates we need to do to zoning and potentially new policy created through this work. And so that just represents what this next phase could look like. And we would envision certainly coming to the HAAB with updates on that information as well. And then before I turn this over to Mike, I just again want to emphasize that this project, we're building from a number of other efforts that are underway. We want to continue that momentum and the work to date that the HAAB has been doing, previous work from the independent cover assessment, Albina Vision Trust's work, among lots of other planning efforts, and working towards developing implementation strategies to help achieve community priorities that we've all been talking about and achieve restorative justice goals for this area. And I'm going to turn it over to Mike to share a little bit about the Broadway Main Street project.
Thank you, Rachel. And thanks for having me tonight. It's good to be back. It's been a minute. And yeah, thanks Erica and HAAB and ODOT for hosting this space. I'm glad to catch you before the summer break. Let me start just by introducing myself. My name is Mike Saratella. I'm a senior transportation planner at the Portland Bureau of Transportation. And I've been here a couple times when we were last fall putting together this grant for the Broadway Main Street project and figuring out how we were going to work together with the HAAB and ODOT and the city and Albina Vision Trust and all the other stakeholders to put together the grant ask that we did through the Reconnecting Communities program. And we have to say, like, well done. We did very, very well. We should be very, very proud of ourselves and how we were able to come together when the Biden administration gives us 2 major construction grants, including the largest single allocation in the entire Reconnecting Communities program to the Rose Quarter project. We know that we're on to something good together here. So I guess I'll just start first by thanking HAAB members individually and collectively for your support for the PBOT Broadway Main Street project grant application. It was really great to show such a breadth of support when we were asking the feds to help us make this this project a reality. So thanks again. I have just a very kind of quick update about the Broadway Main Street project. We just got the grant award earlier this spring. We're in the grant agreement process, but I can speak to a little bit about how this project will interact with the highway cover cap and the Broadway Bridgehead area, and just kind of give a quick kind of status update, and then, outline how we'll engage with the HAAB moving forward on the project. So yeah, just want to reiterate, we are so thrilled to be delivering this project. And we will be looking to partner very closely with both the ODOT team on the Rose Quarter and the HAAB as the advisory group because of the way that the cover structure and the Broadway Main Street project integrate with one another. This is especially true in the section where the PBOT project will kind of connect through the cap structure itself over the I-5 freeway. But it's true throughout the whole spirit of the corridor, because we want the experience of people traveling on this kind of redesigned streetscape to be one of consistency and coherence. There should be a similar design language that echoes from the cap through to both the east and the west as one travels through the district. So we'll be working very closely with the Rose Quarter team, with HAAB and other stakeholders in the area as we're designing this project. As I mentioned, when we think about this project, it extends those benefits of the cap structure, the cover structure, to repair those past harms done through the construction of I-5, and bring those benefits further to the east and to the north, as well as to the waterfront area. We want to take that kind of orientation of repair and healing that will happen through the cap structure and extend that to the Seoul district and to the Elliott neighborhood, to Lloyd area, and as well to the waterfront. In addition to Broadway and Weidler improvements specifically, I just do want to highlight that this project also includes a major redesign of the Broadway Bridgehead area, including Larrabee Avenue, which is that frontage road between Interstate and the water and the Prophet site where housing will be built in the future. And through that process, we'll be creating a new kind of major public open space along that waterfront. So really excited about that. A lot of opportunities for placemaking, for public space, for places for people to gather and connect, and a really kind of a new public space in the district. Really excited about that. And because of the federal funds helping program this work, this is a different type of PBOT project. We have the opportunity to do something really special and really memorable in this space. When folks are traveling either into the district from, say, MLK or across the bridge, we'll have the resources to make sure that folks know that they've entered into a really special place and get a sense of that history and place as they kind of travel along this new Main Street. So yeah, really excited about it. Happy to talk more about all the great things coming. Let me just tell you a little bit about kind of where we're at. So similarly to the Rose Quarter team, we're in the midst of the grant agreement process with the FHWA, Federal Highways Administration, the kind of the holders of the funds. We're on a similar timeline. We'll be joining Rose Quarter through the various regional meetings over the summer. So looking to get that grant agreement finished by late summer. And then once that happens, that unlocks our ability to begin that initial engineering and design work and our public engagement process. So really kind of focused on the grant agreement, getting that finalized. And so we can begin work on this really, really great project. So yeah, and I just want to reiterate when I think about how we'll engage with the HAAB, we will engage directly with this organization in this space as often as you'll have us. But I do want to engage with the HAAB members as they represent their individual organizations throughout the district with ties to the area. So we'll engage y'all early, often, and kind of consistently throughout the process. So in addition to engagement and consultation with HAAB members, we also are looking at ways in which we can develop new and innovative workforce development, contracting opportunities through the construction of this project. We don't want to do it just the standard way. We want to do it right in a way that honors and respects the work that we are here to do together in the district. So any advice or questions about that element in particular? Happy to take that now. So that's top of mind while I'm working with the federal government to get the grant agreement in place. And yeah, it sounds like y'all are going to have a summer break. I just had a break. I just had a kid, and so I'll be working this summer, but I'll reconnect with this group in, is it August or September when you reconvene? And hopefully have some good news to share with y'all then. So Mr. Posey, I see you have your hand up.
Yeah, thank you, Mike.
Questions?
We'll dive into questions here.
Oh.
Mr. Posey, thank you.
Yeah. Hey, listen, thank you, Mike. I was late getting on for some reason. I don't know whether I'm just thick. I couldn't get the link to this meeting. For some reason, I had to call my daughter to get the link to this meeting. I don't know what that's about. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Mike, what I'm concerned about, maybe I should rephrase it. What I'm anxious to know about is whether or not you've started to work with some of the youth organizations to maybe put together an intern program around some of the technical aspects of what you guys are trying to do, and whether or not you've reached out to some of the pre-apprenticeship programs that could come online, and whether or not you're interfacing with what's her name, Tiffany over there, about summer youth programs, et cetera, et cetera. And maybe you've already done that stuff, but can you kind of fill me in on that?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I was, when I was thinking about my notes for speaking today, I remembered our conversations in the fall about, this specific question. So I haven't done that yet. And that is kind of what the kind of expertise I was hoping to get from y'all about, what are the steps that we should be taking now when we're in this pre-grant agreement process, so that when we have those resources, we're not playing catch up. So you mentioned youth organizations, setting up an internship program. It's kind of that pre-apprenticeship opportunities. And that's something that I've been thinking a lot too, is that how can we, if we know that the design and engagement on this process is going to take 18 months of work to get there, how do we set up things now so that when we're at that moment, we're bringing people along with us? So if you have contacts and or if we could connect outside of this meeting to talk more about kind of what that's looked like in the past, who are the right people to talk to, that's something that I am particularly interested in pursuing as we're thinking about this project.
Well, Mike, maybe it's just me, but it seems like to me you guys already should have some relationships with organizations like NAMAC and the Blueprint Foundation. Those are two that come to mind, but seems like to me you guys should already have those sort of relationships. And of course, you got in-house with, as I said, Tiffany Pinson. It's almost like the left hand don't know what the right hand is doing over there. So anyway, I'm not going to belabor the point. I think you get the drift of where I'm talking about. And if you really want to set up a separate meeting, I'd be happy to try to steer you into some direction. But I'm going to be honest with you, it's kind of disappointing that, you know, we talk a lot about diversity and inclusion, but it don't seem like nobody's really about trying to get that done. So, I mean, I'm just saying that from my perspective, you know, I'm not the most optimistic person in the world, but it's kind of frustrating to see that coming. When you going to have some money for real? When you going to get some money so we can really talk about something?
For this project, is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Looks like we'll be on track to get our grant agreement done by August, September. And then that allows us to get started on the work.
So you will have money in the bank and you can bill, right? You can bill out for expenditures, et cetera. Is that what you're talking? Is that what you're saying, out of people out money?
Yeah. It comes in phases as we go through the project, but we'll have resources for engagement and preliminary engineering and some project development work. And so when I think about the things that you're speaking towards in terms of that level of capacity building, I think that would be in that early stage.
I'd be interested in seeing your budget for that so we can really know you're going to do something for real. So I'd be interested in seeing your budget, Mike. And if you have a mind to want to help me, let me help you put that together. I'll do that, you know, separately from this conversation. But man, you guys got to show something on paper for real.
Yeah, no, I feel you. I mean, this is a major, you know, generational moment with these resources coming in. And I accept your invitation to connect and talk about this, and yeah, let's do it. So
That's exciting. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Posey. I see a hand from Sprinabasa.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Posey, for just how you put things and are straight to the point with this. I just wanted to follow up and say a few different things. One, as you mentioned, there's a lot of resources already on this HAAB with youth serving organizations, folks that are connecting young folks. And so I'm going to be following out and sending to everyone a video highlighting our own JT Flowers, who was our guest speaker and participated in the Youth Design Forum we had a few weeks ago. But we had 66 Black and Brown youth from across the city of Portland, we being ELSO Inc. with the annual Youth Design Forum about reconnecting Albina in this project. The engagement has been there somewhat with Peabody, but it can be a lot better. We have this event annually. We've committed to have this event on this project, and it's focused on the jobs, the strategy, the plan. And so what you all will be seeing from me is the report out of all of the actual design features, the thoughts, what the youth and young adults would like to see for our reconnected Albina community. And this was a workshop led by local Black and Brown architects and designers from Project Pipeline and NOMA. So again, there are relationships that exist already here that can be better tapped and resourced to make sure that we're connecting with folks around this project. Aside from this project, some models that you can follow and things to consider are modeling the Youth Climate Commission that's being developed. I was just on a phone call today with the Sustainability and Climate Commission folks, Elaine Livingston, the coordinator, that's moving from the Bureau of Planning and Sustainability to this whole new kind of commission that's coming together. And what they're doing is they are going to be compensating 6 youth commissioners $12,000 per year to sit and to take part in helping shape and inform the change, the leadership, working closely with this government office around the city's accountability to the climate solution. So there's some existing models that other departments within the city are already doing. And there are organizations like ELSO Inc. and Blueprint and many others that Mr. Posey named that are already have these pathways that are connected to youth, that are around leadership access for this public decision-making process and funding the workforce development side. And so I'd be happy to meet with you and speak to some of those things, make introductions and connections for you as well. Thank you, Ms. Erica.
You are welcome. Thank you. Always very informative. Appreciate it. Any other thoughts or comments for Mike or for Rachel in regards to the overview of the broader district? Brenna's right on point. We have so many things happening. Grants and awards for our Russell Williams colleagues and other things. So we need to leverage all of the work and expertise that's in this room. Any other thoughts or questions in regards to the Reconnecting Albina planning project or the Broadway Weidler project? Well, seeing none, thank you, Mike and Rachel. We trust that you will leverage all of this expertise and follow up with HAAB members who have offered their expertise and network to leverage and hold both of those projects accountable to the work that we're doing in the broader Albina corridor. Thanks again for sharing and for your commitment to continually come back and to connect with those folks. With that, we're going to move forward into our discussion. Thank you, Mike. In regards to economic feasibility for covered development, I'm going to welcome back Cadence with the Echo Northwest team to lead us into the next portion of our meeting. Cadence.
Thank you, Erica. Hello, everybody. Again, my name is Cadence Petros. I'm a project director at Echo Northwest. And today, Sam Tedford from our team is also here and will be helping with some of the breakout sessions. So last month, we introduced our scope of work and heard really clearly from some of you some thoughts and concerns about wealth creation and job creation. And we wanted to start today by contextualizing our scope so that we can better be clear about what our scope is doing, what it's not doing, but then also understand the other opportunities in other parts of this work where wealth creation and job creation are a big part of that effort, some of which you were already talking about with Mike earlier. Next slide, please. So when thinking about the cover project in its total, there's really 3 phases. I'm sure you could break it down differently, but we're in the design and engineering phase. And right now, there are opportunities for Black wealth creation and job creation in the area. And that's really in the COVID, minority, small business contracting and apprenticeships, whether that's pre-apprenticeship programs, workforce training and hiring, other things in the design and engineering phase. Then when the construction starts, as soon as that infra grant comes through, right? There will continue to be contracting opportunities, apprenticeships. Maybe there's some opportunities to do contract splitting. All of these things are conversations I think you all have begun to have with ODOT, also here and in the COAC. And they're important components of how funds can flow to the community from this project. Our scope of work is not about that. Then the third phase is vertical development. So there are a few ways where wealth creation and jobs can happen, again, in the construction of the improvements, ownership of the improvements. And then really what our scope is going to be focusing on is the use of those improvements. And that's where our scope is really focused. Yeah, next slide. Is really on how are businesses going to be put there? Are there going to be job training opportunities? Are there going to be jobs created because of the businesses or activities that are in there? And of course, that's just a couple of the public benefits that might result from cover development. Next slide, please. So when thinking about what wealth creation or job creation opportunities might result from this phase of the project, the vertical development, really, you first got to figure out what's going to be there, what's going to be built, and then you can talk about what wealth or jobs can be created from it. And then to figure out what uses you want to put in there or advance in the project, it really helps to understand at a high level, at least, how much those uses and buildings will cost to construct and then operate. And that's really the first step in what we're going to be doing in our scope of work. Next slide, please. So our scope is really to look at 5 different uses on the cover. One of them is going to be open space, because that's the thing that's going to be there if there's not vertical development on a pad. There's got to be something on top of the cover, and it's either going to be open space or vertical development. And so what we wanted to do with you is to explore, what should we test? That is not going to determine what's actually going to be there. This is part 1 of probably many parts to figure out what will actually be constructed. But it will provide, we hope, valuable information about what you might want to have on there and why. And what we're going to do after we isolate which uses we're going to test for our feasibility analysis, we'll go back and do an analysis. We'll create a pro forma, both for the construction capital costs, and then also we're going to estimate the costs for ongoing operations, so that you can see with these different uses how much they cost to build, 3 stories versus 1 story perhaps, and the different uses and what goes inside those buildings, and how much it will cost to operate them. And then you can start to decide, is it important to have this use on the cover and why? Next slide, please. And so when we're thinking about what uses we might want to test, and then further down the road, what uses you all want to advocate for and ensure happen on the cover, there's a whole bunch of different benefits that could be outcomes from those different developments. You could obviously create jobs. You could build wealth. You could have social and cultural uplift. You could have access to open space, and there are many others. And we want to talk to you a little bit about what other considerations or benefits you would want to see from development on the cover. But that's only the first question. The next question, next slide, please, is, okay, you want to have certain things in the area, that makes sense, but does it make sense to build it on the cover specifically? And here are some few questions that we think are important to ask when figuring out, does it make sense to be on the cover? The first is this use planned or envisioned somewhere else in the area? Is it important for it to be on the cover because we want to create a Broadway Main Street feeling, and having development on Broadway over the cover is important, for example? And then what kind of development is necessary anywhere on the cover to make sure that span feels like an inviting place? Would it be fine if it was all open space or not, from a accessibility, livability perspective? And are there other things that you should be considering when thinking about something being built specifically on the cover? Next slide, please. So we're not starting from ground zero. We've the independent cover assessment talked about community priorities, from creating a land trust to having affordable business opportunities, and Black Food Sovereignty Center, Health and Wellness Center, childcare, other things. And in March, we also heard back in January too from you, and then in March from others, about what makes sense, and jobs and wealth creation came through over and over, opportunities for youth to be present, and other things. And so today we want to take all of that and begin to refine this conversation about what uses we should test, so that when we come back in October with information about feasibility, how much it will take to build and then operate different kinds of uses, that they're uses that you care about. And we're not going to come to a final conclusion today, but we will begin that conversation now. Next slide, please. And so we have some time for us to go into small group and some specific questions we're hoping that you can help us answer. What benefits do you want development in the area to provide? And are some benefits more important than others? Is it more important for wealth creation than it is for a cultural center, for example? Is it more important for jobs than wealth creation? There are different options, and we want to know, kind of from your perspective, if some benefits are more important than others, or if they're equally important, which is fine also. And then what uses do you think need to be located specifically on the cover? And why is that? And then are there some uses that are more important than others? And if something is planned or envisioned elsewhere in the district, does it need to go on the cover? Sometimes the answer might be yes, for real specific reasons, and sometimes it might be a maybe or I don't know. And so we want to talk a little bit about that as well. And so I think with that, ODOT team, if we're ready to head on into breakout.
Indeed. So we'll have an opportunity to just dive into the conversation. So our technical and support staff will be sending you into those rooms, and we'll notify you when it's time for us to come out, and we will have a note taker and a report out when we come back together. I'm sure the other breakout room had just a robust, as robust a discussion as we did in breakout room 1. Thank you all for hanging in there. I love those opportunities. It's difficult to do that when you've got such a large group. So we appreciate the opportunity to break apart and allow you all to dive in a little deeper. I'd love to, let me just make sure we've got everyone back. We're going to have a report out from those who are taking our notes. Forgive me. Bill, are you the note taker for room 1? Okay.
I am indeed. Yep.
All right. We'll shift to you first, and then we'll go to breakout room 2.
All right. Thanks, Erica. Since we had the best group, I'll be happy to go first. A lot of information to cover. It was a really dynamic discussion. So I'll try to cover what I can. Talked a lot about functionality, the idea of 1-story buildings and 3-story buildings, and the ideas of maybe looking at those a little bit separately. The idea of a 1-story building, the idea possibly of a small performing arts center, could be a music center, recording studio, some ways of providing some form of education to folks, and also be a great opportunity for a wayfinding options as a location of a place along Broadway that could be used to direct people to other places, both on the cover and off the cover. Something probably around 10,000 square feet is what we were kind of looking at. Another thought was to try to do something in terms of keeping people around the Moda Center longer, trying to extend and create an opportunity for wealth creation by keeping folks around the center longer after sports events. Integrate the influence of the Moda Center into the Albina community. Try to look at flexible spaces, spaces that can also provide multiple uses that can be used and rented out for services to create businesses, and to provide income for folks when things aren't happening, when there isn't any sports activities going on or concerts going on at the Moda Center. Moving more towards like the 3-story building, trying to create a place that is both opportunity for a world-class facility, something that is both attractive and will provide the kind of quality of things that will attract people to this particular area. The idea potentially of a museum combined with probably other uses within the museum, but having that there. Let's see. And the larger building, the idea of maybe capturing sectors of industry or nodes of different kind of commerce and attracting small collective centers of various types of businesses and having them located together at one location or several locations along the cover to basically try to create a kind of creative, innovative center of folks that are all of the same type of business use, that there may be some way to create something that is stimulating to them and to attracting customers to be there. The idea, our district includes the waterfront. So the idea is something along the waterfront would be that would be attractive to people. And the idea of food came in, cuisine, new restaurants. We referenced the Vancouver waterfront as what's happening across the river. And Eugene, the Eugene 5th Street Marketplace, where you've got a variety of mixed uses. It's both walkable and parking is nearby. So it's a very attractive and seems like a great opportunity to create some wealth. Let's see, the idea of possibly having some sort of an anchor of some sort of government services on the site so that folks don't always have to come downtown to basically provide government services. There might be something there closer to the Albina area that we can use. Possibly have a farm to table experience, some sort of experience of maybe growing food, much like a couple other places do in Southeast Portland, kind of a farm to table experience where you're growing food there and having a restaurant nearby that can kind of incorporate off of that. And then mostly world-class facilities in terms of a sports center or an aquatic center, some other kind of sports use. Then the idea of an open space, trying to create, if you had a Black museum or some sort of Native American museum, the open space that's next to it, try to extend that out into that, that you're providing some sort of outdoor exterior art experience, whether through outdoor sculptures, it could be rotating sculptures or things that move around, but some way to extend and use that open space so it's more than just an open space, but it's also incorporated and integrated into another use. And I think the other thoughts were the idea of a wellness and a healing center, something that is fruitful to the community, something that is desperately needed. And I think that's about it. If I missed anything, folks can kind of jump in there and add anything, but I think that pretty much covered it, Erica.
Yes, you did a great job. Thank
You
you.
done good, Bill.
Indeed. And who was our note taker in the next group?
Hey, Erica, that was me, Megan Sfornia.
Hi, Megan.
Hello, hello. We also had quite a dynamic discussion in room 2. So I've tried to capture it all and kind of organize everything into thoughts, but please do chime in if you feel like I've missed anything. In room 2, we really just wanted to talk about how to close the education gap and the healthcare gap among the Black community. And so really the focus was lying there. The interest was that there are several other economic initiatives in the region. We talked also about OHSU. We talked about all of the Hillsborough activity around tech and manufacturing, really thinking about how those can be brought to Lower Albina. There was some interest in seeing some models from Echo Northwest that might bring locations or that type of building and that type of activity into the neighborhood. There was also interest in really understanding how at the end of the day, how will this project and all of these projects be owned by Black people and continue to benefit the Black community long term. We had a question about how this input will be weighted in comparison to public input, and we talked a little bit about how we are hoping to have HAAB be the main driver of this work, the main driver of the input around Echo Northwest work right now. We also talked about how it's really important that this work actually be built and that its uses are flexible over time. We talked a little bit about office space and the post-pandemic challenges that we're facing right now, making sure that governance is really strong and that that will allow for continued stewardship, and the desire to see a good mix of vertical development and open space. Looking at specific uses, at the end of the day, we really focus on education and healthcare, just both as ways to bring up the Black community and generate Black wealth, and also to close some of the kind of social indicators of welfare gaps that are happening right now. And I think that's about all of it. So please chime in if I missed anything.
Is there any input from HAAB members in group number 2?
Yeah, I just want to say that
Yes,
one of the things that comes to mind is that this particular area be, if you think of it in terms of a nation, if we thought about it that way, that the area be able to export products, whether it be services and goods. In other words, products and services from this district would have the ability to be exported to Hillsborough or Gresham, and that we see it in a commerce kind of concept. In other words, money needs to be coming in to build a community, and we share that and export to the other regions or sections of our country. With that, I just want to add that little element to it. We don't want to be just consumers. We want to be producers and exporters of what we do in that section. I'll leave it with that.
that's awesome. Thank you. Any other thoughts in regards to the discussions in the breakout sessions? Seeing no hands, Cadence, maybe you could share with us what our next steps would be for Echo's work.
Yeah, thank you so much, everybody, for your discussion and report out this evening. We're gonna sift through all of that information and continue to refine the uses this summer. And then in early fall, we'll be preparing our pro forma for report out to you in October. And as a reminder, this will just be really the end of a first step, where we have selected a few uses for further illustration of what it takes to build them, what it takes to operate them. And then you can use that for additional conversations going forward with all the various folks, whether it's AVT, the city, ODOT, about how to move vertical development forward. So we're really feeling very fortunate to be a part of this work and look forward to sharing more with you in October. There you go. That's what we're going to do.
Indeed. Thank you so much. Thank you all for engaging. I am sure there was a lot of really great conversation. We have captured all of those things, the breakout sessions, as well as this broader session. As you know, we're recorded. We have note takers, as well as the recording. We'll be listening and hearing for those questions, those things that you asked, and doing our best to provide responses as we have prior to those concerns, the things that the team doesn't know that we're diving into to make sure that we can bring answers back to those questions. Next slide, please. As Sprinna mentioned earlier, we were going to have an opportunity to hear about the Youth Design Forum, but she mentioned she'll be sending out a video to you all so you can see the recap of all of the young people who gave their input, and we're diving into this conversation around revitalization and reinvestment and in their neighborhood. It was exciting. My own daughter participated and several of her friends, and it's just exciting to see them and their brains turning about how this area can benefit them. So I continue to appreciate those who bring in the perspective from our young people, as many of us, hey, we may get lucky. I don't know that we'll be able to see all of the fruit from this work that we're doing, but it is important work nonetheless that we are planting these seeds in the ground together. Next slide. As you heard mentioned, we will be formally taking time for the teams to synthesize all of the information that they have heard in regards to the ECHO work, in regards to 30% design for the Rose Quarter design team. There will be several opportunities for you all to continue to engage. We heard from Mike and the Broadway Wilder Project, and there are opportunities for you all to continue to give input around all of the various reinvestment opportunities in the district. So while we are officially taking a break for the summer, we appreciate that you all may be pulled on. Please still be on the lookout. I will be touching base with many of you as we have in the past in our one-on-ones, so that we're prepared as we go into October. So Dr. Holt, if you are with us, do you have any closing statements or remarks as we move into the summer?
Great meeting. Thanks for all the work that's gone into doing what you do, Erica. Wonderfully delivered. Want to say to the HAAB, appreciate your work and your continued efforts around this process. As indicated, the break is going to happen, and before you know it, we'll be back in the fall. Unfortunately, it's just how the year is running. But there'll be great opportunities to lean in and participate in a variety of discussions and conversations. I think it might be good if JT just kind of tosses out something about the AVT work that's going to happen this summer. JT? Don't know if we lost him. Well,
hold. I got something to ask. Do we get paid leave? Do we get paid leave? No, I'm just I'm just playing with you. Thank you very much. I'll see y'all.
Well, in the meantime, I want everyone to have a great and safe summer. Thank you so much for prioritizing what we're doing and making sure your voices are involved. This is generational work. And generational work should be what this work has been. It should be thoughtful. It should be challenging. It should be accountable. It should be transparent. And ultimately, it should benefit those who are going to be here after us. So thanks for being willing to do something different and do it a different way as we hold accountable all parties who are involved in this process. Have a great summer, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for your work tonight. Much appreciated.
Cheers.
Thank you, Erica.
Thank you.